Hey, how's it going, all you lovely people? It's Door Shutter coming back to you with a brand new episode of Craftoria, and today we're making the Distillation Tower. I am leaving that at 100%. Anyway, we have the actual components here, and actually, I guess I don't have all of them. There's some still left in the system. But we are gonna make this as tall as possible because I think we only need 8, but I'm gonna send it with 9 and just kind of see where that leaves us here. So let's just kind of get this thing built. So I've got some advanced fluid input hatch, and then MV, and then of course the distillation tower made block. And of course you hold your wrench. You can see how to build this, which is beautiful. Or you can go in here and you can adjust the height too. That is something that you will need to probably do before you do anything, because if you break this and place it back down, it'll set it to 1. So we're just gonna set this back to 9, and we are gonna build this. I'm gonna use my construction stick. This is like max height. Okay. And then all 9 of these guys. That should form this. So I don't know how this functions. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea how this actually works, because I'm assuming that we need a fluid output hatch for each layer, because this is like going to have the Steam-Cracked Naphtha flow into this side, and that will then break this down into several different things. But I'm not sure if there's a way to set which each layer is, or if it's just specifically in a predetermined order or anything of that sort. So let's quickly just take out these blocks here. So you don't really need 80 of these guys, which is how much the actual thing recommends here. If we look here, the distillation tower, the highest tier is right here, 80, but it doesn't mention, of course, any of the input, output of anything. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And then I'm just going to make sure all of these guys are set to output. I think all of them are besides those 2. And then we're going to grab some tanks, which these guys are probably going to take a minute to craft. But we'll craft up 6 of them. Looks like I actually already have 1. And I'm going to assume this is set to, like, bucket. Nope, okay. No idea why it's separate. It's empty. Inventory, yes. Because I'm set to owner. That's why it's not stacking. Okay. But yeah, let's get this guy placed. And then, of course, we can go in here and we can just auto-eject. And I don't know if we need to, like, lock this. So I guess it's going to be a test. Let's just do that for now. Let's just leave the 4 while the others are crafting. And I actually did not put an elevator down for this layer. Okay, so with the elevator crafted, we are going to be going over here. And it looks like we're actually running low on diesel, isn't it? We're starting to like go through all of our light fuel and everything. So we're starting to use too much diesel, which is a problem. Definitely a problem. But also looks like we're running out of hydrogen. Well, that's not good. Yeah, because you need a lot of hydrogen. Okay. Let me quickly go resolve that. But this is actually where our naphtha is, right? This tank right here, which we need to take, and we need to put steam and naphtha together to make steam-cracked naphtha, and that is what we're going to be distilling, right? So this is where we're at and what we need. It's just, I need to probably take care of diesel before we do that, because hydrogen is tanking, and I need to figure out why that is. And the hydrogen's over here, so let me look at it, and I'll be right back. Okay, quickly I fixed that issue. There was a backflow of oxygen and not enough power from installing the actual stuff to get us that neodymium dust, the monazite processing stuff. So that was a big problem. I just quickly went and fixed that. But I also wanted to mention off camera, I made our polyethylene setup a little bit better. So what I've done here is I've taken 10 actual distilleries per side, and those are going into one chemical reactor. This one, actually, I knocked power out to this block, so that's why this one's full and this one's not. I just restored it, so it's going to take a minute to get back. But that is allowing us to get polyethylene. Polyethylene is then being sent into an ender tank. That is then being sent up to our parts facility and getting us some digital circuit boards, which is pretty okay in my opinion. One other thing is we actually ran out of sugar, so I did have to add the soul surges back. And I only put 8 basic upgrades in these because doing any more was running us out of sugar with those soul surges active as well. So the soul surges are good, but they definitely weren't the best in all honesty. But yeah, so we're getting that. We are getting polyethylene, and I think that's beautiful. Let's actually go quickly just check on this so you guys can see here that we are getting a decent amount of polyethylene. Of course, this thing is going to take forever to get 2,000. By the way, we're doing polyethylene, hence why we're doing the Distillation Tower. I also am starting to get backlog on annealed copper, Canthal. We're completely out of stainless steel. So this guy should actually be running. Is he actually running? Yes, yes, he is. The naphtha we have in here just needs to be combined with steam. And our steam production is right here. And this thing is still cranking. I don't think we have any issues with this at all. Right, we're getting water flow. We actually still have one over there that's powering some of these machines, surprisingly. And do we have any more of these ender tanks? We do not. So we need an ender tank. We'll take that one and grab a piece of white dye. Change out that centerpiece. That'll give us a steam tank. And then we are just going to... I think the powers ran under here, right? Yes. So if we just run... Oh, was that a cable? Hold on. Let me reconnect this back. Okay. If we just run the power out this direction, and we grab a chemical reactor, which actually, I think I have one in a cardboard box, don't I? Kind of curious. Yes, I have this one. What is this one? Chlorine and... Okay. I'm just going to knock this one out. I don't really care. So I want to put this probably right about here. Put the hole in there. And then we're going to do a fluid pipe. And then we're also going to do a gray fluid pipe. Yes, gray. And we're going to just do that with a wrench. And this should get us set for the Steam-Cracked Naphtha, which we'll just lock in here real quick. And then we also need to make sure the power is attached. And that should slowly start getting us Steam-Cracked Naphtha. And we can just say auto-eject on the top. And we can grab like an ender tank that will then send us down to the distillery tower. And we can start processing this down into actual useful chemicals, which is going to be very, very necessary and very, very useful here in a little bit. Okay, let's see what kind of ender tank we can send for this. We could grab one of these like extra ones here. And we could go for some blue. We've got so many frequencies that we can use that I'm not really too scared to take one of these and just kind of just randomly throw a color on it. Okay, so there's our Steam-Cracked Naphtha. Now, we need to go downstairs, and we need to attach this to this right here, which I'm just going to set this here, and I think I can do this. I can. Okay, so you can see that we are immediately locking these guys in. Okay, so the 9th one's not necessary. So if I just say 8... Okay, I can take that off. Where did I get this polyethylene from? Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so... Let me just quickly break the whole thing. I think this was valid, it just didn't seem like it. Okay. And this thing is very slow on efficiency. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the tanks off for a second. Because I want to go through and I want to lock all of these so I know what's coming out of where. But did I accidentally take out a polyethylene tank? Because I feel like this is not producing anything. I feel like these are producing something, but I don't feel like the other one's producing stuff. But we're also kind of iffy on the production. I think we're good to say that this is going to be an 8 high. I don't think we have an extra one. Oops, did I accidentally take that to a 7? We want that to be an 8. So we'll take that piece out. And then everything should still be locked. And then what we can do is we can add these guys back. And benzene. But I have no idea where this polyethylene came from. Unless I accidentally took a tank off of here. Alright, so I quickly just emptied out this tank. And we're going to get this set down here. And we're basically going to want to just set these all to auto output. And then we're going to attach a Supreme fluid tank to the front of these guys. So that way we have just a massive buffer. And it looks like most of these guys vary on the amount they produce per. Alright, so with the creation of the Distillation Tower and everything, I went through and I figured out what chemicals we need to put where and why and everything of that sort. And I actually spent some time kind of just writing it on a sign. Because this is easier to understand for me, instead of just going through JEI like crazy trying to figure out what goes where and everything like that. So, first things first, we have methane, right? Methane, actually, the only use for methane is to make acetylene and an EBF, right? And then acetylene can be used to make hydrogen or vinyl chloride. In this case, vinyl chloride is the only option. We don't really need hydrogen from this source. So with the vinyl chloride, we need to combine hydrochloric acid, acetylene, and then that'll give us vinyl chloride. Vinyl chloride plus 4 lead tiny dust gives us the polyvinyl chloride, which then will give us the ability to make processing units, highly advanced upgrades, turbo upgrades, Tesla interdimensional upgrades, and superconductive cables. So this is going to be a necessary process that we need. And you can see, of course, we've kind of got that mapped out. So we've got EBF, chemical reactor. And then if we go to the next one, we have the inclusion of ethylene. We want to add water, sulfuric acid to get ethanol. And then ethanol plus acrylic acid equals dithiol ether. Then we combine that dithiol ether with the current diesel, and that'll give us boosted diesel, which is just going to be a better product anyway. And of course, we just check ethylene. We can get ethylbenzene or polyethylene. I think I'm just going to stick with this in this case because we do get ethylbenzene from this process. And polyethylene, we built that whole system that I think is kind of keeping things afloat for now. And once we get all the digital circuit boards and everything, which I honestly haven't checked in a minute because I've been just researching and looking into stuff, we probably are about 300, 400, right? Actually, I guess it's can I attach my system. We actually have 538, so we're not even close to that, but that's fine. It's going to take some time to even consider, and develop and make this system. So we got a little bit of time. All right, so next thing, propane. Propane plus oxygen equals acrylic acid. Acrylic acid is actually used with the dithiol ether. You can see I put an arrow here, so you kind of get these two chemicals together, and you're going to end up with that dithiol ether and all of that jazz. So beautiful. The next one is to make butadiene. This plus styrene equals the styrene butadiene. And that is fantastic. Of course, styrene actually comes from this top one, which is the ethylbenzene. Man, these names. That plus steam and iron dust equals styrene. And then, of course, that'll allow for us to make the styrene butadiene, which can then be used in a handful of things, which is the styrene butadiene rubber, which is the random access memory, and apparently a whole bunch of rubber sheets if we actually wanted to do that method as well. And it looks like that's actually the same for cables, but this is basically equivalent to the other thing. Unless this is like a specific, which is the photovoltaic cells. I don't know if that's specific to this or not. Oh, it is not. Okay. You just use less overall in those processes, so that's fine. Okay. But yeah, so that'll lead us to RAM. The next thing, of course, is benzene, and that is chemical reactor plus hydrogen and nickel tiny dust, which I actually forgot to write on the sign, I think. Yeah, I completely missed that on the sign. But let's just actually quickly. Plus 4 nickel tiny dust. We'll just do DST. And that should tell us enough. Okay. And that will give us the clatum. Goodness gracious. And then that plus 4 tiny lead dust gives us nylon. And nylon will actually allow for us to start getting the nano boots. And then, of course, the nano boots will allow for us to then start working towards getting the quantum nano boots, which is the quantum set and the nano set plus nukes, which will give us the best set available, which is, this is from Extended Industrialization. Let's actually look at this. Extended Industrialization, which I think, right here. I don't think there's actually any, like, sword or anything, right? It's just the upgraded armor. Yeah, the quantum nano. Okay. Interesting. I guess you have a chainsaw. Ultimate laser drill. That sounds fancy. Okay. You could combine that with a modular router piece. That's insanity. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so that is that. And then the next, of course, you get the industrial TNT with the toluene, plus nitrogen, plus 4 sand, plus 3 flint equals the industrial TNT. And then, of course, the industrial TNT, you want to keep some, but then make the actual nukes for the other stuff. Nukes probably won't come for a little while because you do need the teridium and deuterium. And this, of course, comes from... let's actually check, because I don't think I convert between mechanisms and this one. So this is actually going to have to be coming from our actual production of hydrogen and a centrifuge. Okay, so that's not terrible. Not at all. All right. But that kind of covers the distillation towers. Now, I'm not going to cover me making these systems, right? I feel like we have done enough of making systems like this, especially with the polyethylene, right? You guys understand there's a lot of complexities and stuff that are going to go into this, and I don't feel like I need to keep showing modern industrialization setups. Now, if there was like, hey, you need to use the implosion compressor, for example, the actual implosion compressor and the, you know, nukes and stuff like this, I would want to show you guys, hey, this is how this machine works, hey, these are some quirks, whatever. But in this case, I'm not there yet, right? But we've messed with the chemical reactor, we've messed with the EBF, we've messed with fluid inputs and outputs and all of that stuff before, and I think we're kind of getting into that repetitive state of, do you guys really care? So I'm going to crank through all of that stuff and just do it off camera, right? I feel like that's kind of where we need to go. I actually kind of forgot about this. I think that's kind of where we need to end up, and I think that will get us quite a lot further if we don't just keep stopping and saying, hey, we're going to do this on camera because X, Y, and Z. It's just, we're going to get it done. And there's a whole lot to get done. I am quickly grabbing some fertilizer from Industrial Foregoing here. I wanted to actually mess around with a couple things with Industrial Foregoing because I did not know this was a thing. And it was brought to my attention that there is a hydroponic bed and a simulated hydroponic bed. And I want to test that against something like this. I was trying to mess around with sugar solution, which of course that system is teared down and everything because we weren't getting enough sugarcane and it wasn't mattering. So I did a couple odds and ends here. And basically I came across that this is fast. With SNAD and the actual lily pads of fertility, but it's not really that good. So I went and I got fertilizer because you can make hydroponic beds with this and get this going here. Oop, what do I miss? Oh, the simple, still crafting. Okay, so there's the hydroponic bed. And from what I know about this, because I actually have never used these, is they can take ether gas, which is this bottom one, and then they can take in water. So if we actually grab a ender tank, what was our water set to? No, it's not this one, it's the entangled block. I remember we moved it. So water, let's just transfer fluids, output. Okay. Make sure water is set. And water to the right is pull. Or... Oh, auto eject. There we go. Okay. And then we've got ether gas. Okay. And then we've got power. And this is not the best setup, by the way. I'm just kind of experimenting with this on camera here for a second. And we also want to grab the industrial foregoing. What is it called? Let's look up this thing right here. The hydroponic simulating processor. I still don't have these things auto-crafted after all this time. Alright, let's just take care of that real quick. Goodness gracious. The odds and ends. That's alright. Okay. So this can go in here. And then we just grab some sugarcane. I'm hoping this will work. And that should start processing and everything. So see how slow this is right now? Actually, I guess it's not that slow. We're getting one every so often. Every 2 seconds, it looks like. Okay. So what we'd want to do to make this faster is to grab some soul surges. And we'll need to go grab an interface and everything, a wireless interface. But we actually just set up soul surges on all the sides that we have available, which is 5. And we grab a soul pipe, which I need to probably craft up a little bit more of these. Okay. And that should all be joined. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a wireless access point, and we can set that here, and then the interface here. And then I can go connect this real quick to our main area. Alright, so that has been set up, and we should see now that this is not really that quick. But we're also actually out of power. Hold on. I might want to deal with that real quick. Entangled block. And quantum. That. And then we also want to grab our entangled binder. And then make sure that we've provided power to it. So that should be significantly quicker, right? And then if you actually went and you got the better add-ons, which I only have a handful of these. So, for example, this. And we change these out to this guy. And, of course, we could go to the higher tier if we really wanted to. You can see that this guy is going to go faster. So the other thing is you'll see that there is the hydroponic simulator processor is doing things. It's actually becoming better. So basically like how hostile neural networks is, it is taking each crop harvested by the hydroponic bed to increase the actual efficiency and the potential drops and everything of that sort. So this will just run for a little while, and I'm going to let this run and kind of just let this gain quite a bit of the actual simulation points, whatever they're called, and just see what happens. Because I think what we should see is a pretty decent overall just gain, but I'm not sure, right? We want to get the other one, what is it called? Simulated hydroponic bed. Yeah, this one right here. We want to grab the simulated hydroponic bed to allow for us to actually put more soul surges, which will allow for us to put 6 because it doesn't require a plant. And they will actually be able to be using this, and it will be fantastic. And I don't think this one actually requires the actual ether gas, if I'm not mistaken. And by the way, this machine does not require ether gas. It actually just speeds it up a little bit more. So you don't need it. It's cool to have, so that way you're actually being able to process just a little bit more. Okay. So let's just set this guy down here real quick. Yeah, you can see this guy has no inputs for water, no inputs for ether gas. So you've got your simulated seed, which in this case would be sugarcane, and then your simulating processor, and then of course your output. So all of these guys are just your add-ons, right? That's perfect. Okay. That's just good stuff to know. I just wanted to look at it before we go in and do that later down the line. I just wanted to mention this. And then, of course, we need to get the output set up, which is what I was doing a second ago before I got distracted. So blue, blue. And then I should be able to say output on top. Maybe. I don't think it's going to let me. I'm going to do pipes. So just like this. And then grab a pipe upgrade. And that should empty that. I've been doing some work off camera. Just kind of letting the hydroponic bed actually populate the simulation. And I also went ahead and I auto-crafted up to the tier 8 add-ons for this whole shenanigans. Yeah, this is insanity. 800% increase. This has been running for a hot minute now. And if we just go look at this, because I haven't looked at this in a minute, we are almost at 2x sugarcane per drop, which is like 30,000 executions. Goodness gracious. But yeah, this has been running. It's got tier 8 upgrades in it, which is fantastic. But I have been working on something else in the meantime because we needed dragon heads. And as you can see, we have hostile neural networks up here and 2 self-aware dragon models. Now, this is absolutely insanity. This was a lot of Ender Dragon kills, but the thing is I one-shot most of them. Sometimes I didn't, just because I was spamming attack, and that was kind of a bad idea. But we are now able to use these guys in the simulation chamber, and then, of course, putting that in the loot fabrication to then get any of the mob drops that we could need, which is like Dragon's Breath and Dragon Head. The Dragon's Breath is honestly the only one that I need right now, because Dragon Head, I got a lot of heads. A lot of heads. But yeah, so right now I'm going to put these guys back in here because I'm going to deal with that later. But we will do that on camera. I'm just not going to do it right now. One of the things I noticed is I need a ranged weapon. So I went ahead and I've made the mecha bow. And 4 attack amplification units, 3 draw speed units, 1 gravity dampener unit, and 1 energy arrow unit. And then I actually forgot. Oh, that's why I stopped for a second, because I actually have energy units as well. Okay, and this now should take in quite a bit of power. 1.63 GFE, which is insanity. Same thing as this one. But now what we can do is we don't actually have to have arrows. This thing just fires. Okay, and this is not all of the actual things you can put on the mecha bow. I do believe there was one other mechanism. Just do mechanism and then colon, and then we can see the auto fire unit right here. Fires automatically when the bow is fully charged. The draw speed unit, of course, just increases the speed which the bow draws. This just prevents it from having any velocity, like actual drop, which is pretty cool. Not velocity, just, yeah, it just shoots straight. You will never miss your target, basically, unless you're terrible at aiming like I am. Attack amplification just does more attack. And that energy arrow is your infinity upgrade, which is beautiful. But of course, we also have the ability to enchant this thing, which I'll probably do off camera. But I actually wanted to go through and just kind of mess around with Apotheosis real quick on camera, because I did not do that with the Mekatana, and I just wanted to talk about it real quick. So we could toss this guy in here. We've got Godforged Pearls and Sigils of Rebirth. Actually, no. Sigil of Rebirth, the right one? I think it is, but I think I might need more. No, this is right. So this would, let's see, let's go to the first one. Levitation 2, Wither. You have a 42% chance to shoot a second arrow. This item ignores 67% of durability damage. 100 attack damage. So that's one thing I want to look at. So this does 250 as well. And yeah, just, okay. That's the extreme. I just wanted to put that on there real fast. So the biggest problem is I really could not care about 90% of these. This one's pretty cool. 9 levels of looting. That's actually pretty nifty. I didn't know you could actually add enchanting, like enchantments and stuff through this. We also have the information on the bottom, which is the 5.2 plus luck. The 9.75 armor pierce, 27% arrow damage, and 34% crit damage. We also have the sockets, which allow for us to add more variations and stuff, but I think I'm going to grab this one. This one does inflict Wither 3. Mob drops will teleport to you. That's kind of meh. I don't really care about that much because we've got a magnet. But I'm going to grab that one. And what we can actually do is, in this one, we can do Sigils of Enchantment. This is the augmenting table. This is the more expensive table because you need Godforge pearls. And this is, of course, just your normal... Actually, no, this is not the normal one because there's the simple reforging and then there's the reforging table. So this one can then be upgraded to this one, but this one requires the epic tier materials, and that will be beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to actually pull these guys out for a second because I want to make some more of these guys, which I'm just going to bookmark here real quick. And these do require Godforge pearls, which is kind of why they are so... They're not really that expensive, but once you get to this stage, you should have the ability to get more of these. And so what we can actually do is we can actually re-roll, which we can't really see. Is it Control-O to hide? Yeah, there we go. You guys can see the re-roll selected a fix, which does cost 1 Sigil of Enchantment and 175 levels. I have 658 levels, by the way, because of all the Ender Dragons I killed. But we can actually go through here, and we can see all of the different things. So like this one, if I wanted to, which I'm going to do, because I don't really care for Wither 3. On arrow hit, gains speed. What is... I don't even know what this is. Oh, and this is all we could actually get out of this. So it's kind of a crappy one in general. Slowness actually wouldn't be too bad. But I don't know what Grievous Wounds is. I'm assuming it's like bleeding damage, maybe? There is no information on it. No description available. Okay, we'll stick with that one. I'm going to assume it's like a bleed out, like bleeding damage type of thing. Oh, so we cannot re-roll and actually get anything better than this. The telepathic. Okay. And what's this? Mob drops will teleport to you. So that one doesn't really do anything. And 9 levels of looting. This can go up to 10. Let's send that. And then... We don't really care about arrow velocity. Can we change this to anything? We can do arrow damage. So if we were to say arrow velocity and change this out to reroll, crit chance, arrow velocity, crit chance, luck, draw speed. Man, we are not getting anything that's actually worth a while. Like worth anything right there. Hold on. Draw speed. I mean, this thing probably draws stupidly fast now, but I don't really need that because it already draws stupidly fast. There we go. I'll take that. I will take that for sure. Did not mean to back out of that. And then we can upgrade this as high as we can. Because the more damage, the better at this point. So that is this at 40? I thought it was only... Oh, 225 levels. I'm completely out of levels. I didn't even realize that. We just burned through so many levels, but that's okay. Let's, let me go grab some more levels here. Alright, grabbed a handful more levels here, so we're just going to get that to 40. Okay? And then I don't think I really care too much. Yeah, because this, well, this is a fantastic thing. The Trials of Awaken, I didn't think I mentioned this. That thing has like 1,000+ armor. So this is not going to do anything for us, but we may as well just get that to as high as possible, which I think now, yeah, we're out of experience, which is fine. So the next bit to make your tools even better is to start looking at your gems, which I have a lot of these guys in here. And what you're going to look for, well, in my case, is kind of looking for anything that allows for us to do more damage. So there's more draw speed, which is not something we're looking for. And you also, of course, have to look for things that are like ranged weapon or bows. So this is arrow damage. So we may want to just see if we can snag all of these guys. We'll just put these guys down here for a second. So this is way more damage. The flawless, which is not the highest. And we're actually going to make sure we grabbed all these. And we're going to go run over here, which we also have more Apotheosis gems. And see if we have more of these guys. Beautiful, we do. And I don't know if there's any others. There's draw speed. There's arrow velocity. Protection pierce, which might be an interesting one. And remember, we can only put one gem of each type on here as well. So we can only do one of the arrow damage, and then the others have to be a different one. So arrow velocity, draw speed, light weapons, 15% experience. I guess we could probably put that one on there. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that would really jump out at me. I think this one would not be a bad idea. We have so many of them. I think we could get this to be a better tier as well. And we'll also go check inside here and make sure that we don't have any more of these guys, which it looks like we actually have tons of these guys. And those 35% protection shred, but minus 55% draw speed. That's actually really cool. When firing, you lose 40% max health and deal 220% damage for 22 seconds. That is ridiculous. Yeah, I think we're going to go with what we found so far. And we're just going to get these guys going. So, what do I mean by getting these guys going? Well, we're going to need some gem dust. And apparently I have a whole bunch of gems in my system. I thought I cleared these guys out. But apparently I have not. So we're going to just snag the ones we know that we can use. And actually, we do have a flawless right here. And I think flawless is not the proper tier that we're looking for. Hold on. What is the last piece I'm missing? Oh, yeah. Let's grab some of the Godforged Pearls. So let's go this, and then Flawless, and then Godforged Pearls. So basically, you need one gem on the top, one gem in the middle, and this will use this top gem, and then, of course, these other ingredients here. So we're going to click this, and now this is a perfect. So this does 55% more damage, and all these other ones, you could make these better, but of course, I really don't need them right now. So, I don't want to toss them back in the system. I want to toss them back in the chest. But, yeah, right now we don't need any of these guys because we can't use any more of them, right? So we can toss all of the triangles back in here. And to equip this to our tool, we can just throw the bow in here, the gem in here, and this will attach it as a socket gem. You're socketing the gem, basically, right? So let's grab that. So now this guy should just do an absolute insane amount of damage. That does more than my Mekatana. I want to point that out. This thing only does does under 2,000. And it looks like that Grievous Wounds is probably why we did so much damage at the start. Ooh, where? An actual target. Oop, he's lagging a little bit. There we go. Man, that is beautiful. Okay. I mean, that does quite a bit of damage. I'm going to look at getting the one here, the Protection Pierce, done. I don't think we have a Flawless or anything of that sort. So we're just going to basically have to go through the tiers. And you can go through JEI or REI. EMI. This is what we're using. And actually look at what each one requires because it will tell you. So sooner or later, you won't be able to use certain rarity materials and all of that jazz. So this is definitely some good stuff. And actually, I have some equipment I can throw in here to get some arcane sands that I can use to get this going. So I want to look for kind of the highest rarity that I have and throw that in here. Okay, so now that is a purple. I'm going to switch this guy out. Now that is a flawless. So now I have two more of these guys, and I just kind of need to go from there. And actually, I've got another one here. I just need some arcane sands or Godforged pearls or something along those lines. And that will give us a flawless. Combine those guys, and that is a perfect, which gives us a 15 plus protection pierce, which is beautiful. I don't really know how much help that's going to be, but I think it should be good enough. There's actually a bleeding one, which stacks. That's nuts. Okay. Yeah, we're good without that. And I also still don't know what Sigil of Malice does, by the way. I still have not figured that out by any means. But I'm going to go put some enchantments on this thing, by the way. Power, punch, anything I can think of. And I will be back here in a little bit once that's done. And now it has power 9. That is ridiculous. Right, that's power 9? Yeah, that's... Okay, that's all we need. Here's another guy over here. Let's just bow him down. If I can hit him. He is moving. Very laggily. There we go. See if we can nail this dude. Ooh. Oh, I got sniper duel. Haha. Man, this is kind of fun. Like target practice, but I still suck at aiming. All right, we're gonna wrap this episode up here. So this is actually Future Shed Door. I made way too much footage and cut out a lot of footage from this episode because some of it was actually quite boring. And so I may have a lot of footage, but it probably will get cut down into a significantly less amount. But I don't want to make this episode an hour or two long because I have enough footage to do so. It's just, I think we can break that up in a handful of episodes and kind of make it a little bit more coherent and not me just jumping around consecutively. I know we did the Hydroponic Beds, I know we did the Distillation Tower, and I know we did some of the Apotheosis recap, which is good because I think it's just good to show Apotheosis. Every version seems like there's a major change with it, so kind of getting acquainted with that is definitely a good thing. And the Mecha Bow, very fantastic weapon so far. I actually did use it against an Ender Dragon, and pretty fantastic. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay awesome, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.